Robert Plank Show, episode 63, Website Remote. Get out more, grow your internet business, make more money, have more fun, and increase your productivity without burning out or creating a new job for yourself. I want to personally welcome you back to the Robert Plank Show, the internet marketing radio show where we talk about making money. And a few things have happened in the last week or the last couple of weeks, and one of them, the biggest one, the thing I'm most excited about, is that we just launched a WordPress management tool called websiteremote.com. You can check out everything about it at websiteremote.com, and it's basically a tool that you can use to keep track of all your WordPress sites, log into them, see what you have installed, and update them all. Now, if you don't have WordPress, I recommend you use it to run your sales letters, membership sites, blogs, and more. But what I'm going to talk about a little bit today is this service called Website Remote. But first, a few things. The first thing is that it takes the same amount of energy to feed your dreams as it does your fears. Make a list of things that make you happy. Then make a list of things you do every day. Compare the lists and adjust accordingly. Here's a quick list of 12 things that successful people do differently. Number 1, they create and pursue focused goals. Number 2, they take decisive and immediate action. 3, they focus on being productive, not just busy. Number 4, they make logical and informed decisions. Number 5, they avoid the trap of trying to make everything perfect. 6, they are willing to work outside of their comfort zone. 7, they keep things simple. 8, they focus on making small, continuous improvements. 9, they measure and track their results and progress. 10, they maintain a positive attitude and learn from mistakes. 11, they spend time with successful and motivational people. And finally, 12, they always maintain a balance in their life. Lots of cool things to do and lots of stuff to talk about today, and not a lot of time to do it. So we put out this tool called Website Remote. And this is a way, like I said, where you can log into your dashboard inside of the Website Remote members area and then click and add all of the WordPress sites you have. Maybe you have some blogs, maybe you have some sales letters, maybe you have a personal blog or things like that, and you can add 10, 20, 100 or more sites and see them all in one place. Then if you say, I want to log into all these sites, you no longer have to remember passwords or things like that. Just click. Now you're logged into this new site. If you want to update just a particular plugin on all 100 sites, click a button, now they're all updated. If you want to update everything on all your sites, update WordPress, update all the plugins, all the themes, well, go ahead and check out the video demo right now at websiteremote.com. So when it comes to your internet marketing business and when it comes to making money, whether you're putting out software or a membership site or a course or a book or something, you want to solve a real problem. It doesn't matter if some solution already exists because it probably sucks compared to what you could make, because what you make could have more features, or it could even have less features and be simpler, or it could actually be faster or get the job done that it was supposed to do. And that is where my personal frustration came in that I have a few WordPress sites and I wanted to update them all, and I've had days where suddenly a huge scary email came out saying, warning, warning, there's a new version of WordPress, you gotta update now, otherwise you'll get hacked. Or maybe the membership site software I was using suddenly had a big break and I had to go and update all of them across several sites. Well, I would have to go and log into one at a time. And then you might say, well, Robert, there's this or there's that WordPress management tool, and I've bought a few, and they all have things about them that I didn't like. One just didn't work at all. One worked with only half of my sites. One of them worked with my sites, but then I went and logged into one without connecting it, without using a password, and it let me walk right in the front door. So I was like, well, I do want to remotely manage my WordPress sites, but I don't want to let anyone manage my sites, right? I don't want anyone to be able to add posts or mess with plugins there. So we created Website Remote. Now we already have plugins for things like Backup Creator, which is a way to backup and clone your WordPress sites, paper template, which allows you to make sales letters and opt-in pages and webinar pages and more on WordPress. We have Member Genius, which allows you to collect payments and run membership sites with multiple levels in WordPress. We have Plugin Dashboard, which allows you to see all of the plugin updates on a single site and click a button and have them all update for you and things like that. But we didn't have a way for us to mass edit and mass look at all of our WordPress sites, so we created that. And it's all going to eventually tie in together. If you had that idea, website remote, you'll be able to use Backup Creator remotely and things like that. I don't want to give away all my master plan, but when it comes to making something new in your internet business, or even just getting back on track, stuff like that, I have 4 quick things for you today. The first thing is to get out more. The second is to eat your own dog food. Sounds disgusting and scary, but trust me, there's a reason for what this means. Number 3, treat your business like a real business. Number 4, use the 4 daily tasks model for maximum productivity. The first thing is get out more. So, how do I even explain this? There are corners and nooks and crannies of the internet. We can easily get stuck and think that the way things are in that little community, in that little clique, is the only way that those things work. And a good example is, in internet marketing at least, there are areas like the Warrior Forum, or there are marketplaces like JVZoo, and these are places where a heck of a lot of people hang out. And there's even Facebook groups where a heck of a lot of people hang out. And in fact, it feels like recently, in the past 5 years, especially because of things like Facebook, it feels like a small number of communities have gotten larger. And so before, there might have been, 10 or 20 sites where you could go and see what people are up to. And now it feels like in any niche, there's only like 2 or 3. So that's good and bad. The good news is that when you have something to say, or you have a question, you'll get a lot of responses. The problem, though, is that there's such a huge mob that you might not always get the right answer, right? You might get the answer that the majority agree with, which isn't necessarily true. You might get the answer that makes you happy. So if you do want to have a good sounding board and a good community, a good place to bring the problems of your internet business to us, we meet every month in a private mastermind called doubleagentmarketing.com. And I'll be honest with you, our sites like doubleagentmarketing.com or webinarcrusher.com, where we bill a monthly fee for access, those are the toughest sites for us to sell access to. That's just a fact of life. We can sell something high ticket pretty easily. We can sell a fixed term membership site easily, which means, like, say, it could be like 5 payments of $97 and then it's paid off. But this whole month after month payment, it's the toughest thing for us to sell for a number of reasons. And I think the biggest reason is that before, people looked at their monthly budget, right? Maybe you might say, well, my monthly budget is to spend $200 a month on different membership sites and training courses. So if you have a $100 site, I say, okay, fine, I'm fine spending half of my budget for this month because next month I'll have more money in the budget. The problem with selling a monthly fee is now you look at that and say, well, geez, now that's 10% of my monthly budget each and every single month just to solve a problem that I'm not quite convinced I gotta have, right? I'm not quite convinced that keeping my WordPress sites up to date and things, I'm not really sure that's going to necessarily make or break my business. So I think that's where the selling objections come in. And especially in this monthly thing, because unless you're solving like a really, really tough problem, then a monthly fee is a really tough sell. I mean, like a problem could be, I don't have internet, I don't have a cell phone. The monthly fee solves that. But then if you're just trying to sell a monthly fee for information, now that's a whole different ball game. And so there's a few ways around that, and they don't necessarily involve cutting the price, because you know what I mean? I mean, even something like $17 or $27 a month, that's still pretty dang cheap. And if you don't think that's true, then you gotta get out more. That's the first thing I want to talk to you about today, is that if you go to sites like, once again, Warrior Forum, JVZoo are great places, and the great thing about these places is that all the newbies go and flood there, and that a lot of people there they're looking to buy things. The only problem, though, is that the average person is looking to buy something for $10, $20 one time. And so if you go and try to sell something for $1,000 on the Warrior Forum, or even $10 a month or $20 a month on the Warrior Forum, you'll experience a lot of resistance and it'll be a really tough sell. And if you let it get to you, then you'll think that the warrior form is the only game in town, and you'll think that there's no point in selling anything over even $30. Now, things like the warrior form are great for what they are, which are building traffic, which is building your list, which is building a list of low ticket buyers, which is my favorite kind of list to build. Because you can build a huge list. I mean, if you sell something for $500, $1,000, if you're in the real estate niche, for example, that's pretty low ticket, right? But if you went to the warrior farm, they think that's like the highest you would ever go. And the problem with if people come and see your sales letter, your product for $1,000 sight unseen, it might take them a while to buy it, and you're not going to get tons and tons of $1,000 sales every single day. And I just don't want you to get to the point where every time you launch a product, you're depending on the same 30 or 50 people for a sale, because then it dwindles and it's just a scary place when your business relies on a handful of people. And that's why it's cool to not necessarily live on the warrior forum and not necessarily live from launch to launch, which is almost like a paycheck to paycheck kind of deal. But we want you to build a list, and not necessarily build a list of freebie seekers, tire kickers, people who are trying it out for the first time. And when I sold training on PHP programming, many people just bought it. Many people just bought this $10 to $20 thing to see if I knew what I was talking about. Or they'd see, maybe they'd solve a simple solution like add a pop-up to their site, but then you want to go and hire me to code up something custom and something bigger and, just for their own website. So I'm not talking smack about places like the Warrior Forum or JVZoo, but I'm just saying that they are places for you to build your list. And I mean, getting started, I would ask, questions, ask advice and things like that on the Warrior Forum. And I got some good advice, but a lot of bad advice. So it's also not a great place to get your problem solved. And it's not really a good place to answer people's problems, because once again, like, it's always good to join a community, join a forum, and post a bunch of answers. And the old way that you would used to get traffic, you'd have a signature link at the bottom of your messages. So it was in your best interest to answer a few hundred questions over the course of a year so that you could get a few hundred link backs to your site from a high traffic forum. Kind of makes sense. But nowadays, I think even the Warrior Forum, I mean, I haven't seen people's signature lines in the longest time, and I think it might be by default they're hidden. I could be wrong. And then on Facebook, well, of course, there's no way to have your own URL at the bottom of your messages. So what other reason is there to help people other than out of the goodness of your heart, or the small, slim chance that they'll private message you, and then you have to privately try to, make a sale one-on-one or be a busybody? It just seems like a lot of work. And so, I mean, if you want to go, and every now and then I actually do, I'll go on Facebook or go on forums and I'll ask a question every now and then. But there's a difference between using a website for what it is and living there. And especially when it comes to Facebook, it's better, for you to set up Facebook ads, set up Bing ads, set up Google ads, set up a retargeting pixel. And, when it comes to, I keep saying the phrase when it comes, but with Google ads, my business partner is Mr. Lance Tamashiro, and the reason that he and I began working together was because he was Mr. Traffic. I can program whatever it is we need to program. I can whip up a book. I can whip up videos, whip up a membership site. But I needed someone to get us to sell thousands and thousands of copies. And so one text I got just a few hours ago from my business partner, Mr. Lance Tamashiro, is that for years he's just been struggling with this paid traffic thing. And I mean, paid traffic especially, it changes a lot. There's always new rules, always new interface, always new things you can and can't do, always better ways of doing things, always ways of getting things cheaper. And even if you figure out all that, even if you figure out how to bid on Google ads and get certain keywords and get certain things, you get it all in place, and then some other competitor goes in and messes up all your ads, and now you have to pay twice what you were paying before. But the idea with things like Google ads is you bid on keywords. So if someone's searching for clone WordPress to Google Drive, they type that in Google. There's the organic, the free search results, but then we have an ad we pay for, and we might even pay $1 or $2 a click to get them to buy from us. But if the math works out where we pay $1 a click, but then we sell something for $47. If only one out of 47 of those people who click buys, now we've broken even, and we'll just continue to run those ads day in and day out to even break even or even lose a little bit of money, because we're building a list of buyers who will eventually buy more and more things. And that was the reasoning behind our recent, I guess you could call it relaunch of our Backup Creator 3.0 plugin. We listed it on this marketplace called JVZoo, and in the past we've listed our other products. Actually, we got our start with Backup Creator on a marketplace called Warrior Plus. And we got a lot of people making fun of us for that. And I got made fun of. I still get made fun of every now and then, because I used to sell some low ticket stuff, and I still sell some low ticket stuff. And there's nothing wrong with selling both low ticket and high ticket. But I listed my products on Warrior Plus and on Warrior Forum and on this new-ish service called JVZoo. And most people miss the reasoning behind it. Either they will continuously put out products on JVZoo or Warrior Plus for $10, and that's their whole business model. And they'll make a few $1,000s a month, and they'll promote other people's stuff for a few $1,000s a month, but then their business never grows. They never get anywhere. And then you see other people who they only will sell high ticket stuff for thousands of dollars, which is fine, and they kind of turn their nose up at selling all these low ticket copies because they don't want to supposedly, I guess, tarnish their brand image or things like that. And the thing is, well, who cares about your brand image if there's no one on your list who will even buy from you? So my attitude, especially lately, is that I don't have to live there. But what I do want to do is list my stuff on some of these marketplaces, such as JVZoo, or years ago, we had a product called Set Up an Affiliate Program, and one's called Set Up a Fan Page. And I think Set Up a Fan Page is the one where we listed it on another marketplace called Wrap Bank. What's a Wrap Bank? Don't know, but we listed it, and we checked back a couple years later, and we had actually made $16,000 in sales just from having it listed on Wrap Bank. Now, $16,000 is not a lot of money, especially spread out over a few years, but we realized that, whoa, this was free money, and all we had to do was literally list it in a marketplace, and we hadn't even noticed this extra pile of money that we had just from listing it. So that is why we listed Backup Creator recently on this site called JVZoo, and the reason was to get a bunch of affiliate sales and to give away as much of the commission as possible. We did this thing called giving away 100% of the commission because we just wanted to get all these new buyers on our list, and we kind of wanted to recruit some affiliates because the ones we had kind of gone to the wayside a little bit. And so some interesting things happened was, first of all, we spent a month ahead of time getting it scheduled, paying for ads on a site called muncheye.com, where I guess affiliates go to see what to promote. And then we got a lot of tire kicker affiliates, but we got some affiliates near the end who still wanted to promote. They just didn't have time during the launch to do it. And they saw how well, it's not like the launch did super well, but they saw that out of the traffic that affiliates sent, and we didn't send any of our own traffic, and I think there were about 400 affiliate sales in a couple of days, which is not a lot, but some of these other affiliates saw how well it converted compared to how few, relatively speaking, how few clicks were sent there. And so we got a few things out of it. We got some other affiliates who were going to promote going forward in the future. And what was really interesting was that Mr. Lance Tamashiro asked these affiliates, well, do you want to promote using our own built-in affiliate program? For whatever reason, they wanted to use the JVZoo system, I guess, I don't know, because that's what they're used to using and used to being paid from. We said just fine. So you got to get out more, and getting out more doesn't necessarily mean what you think it means. Getting out more means running paid ads. It means going to some of these communities or making joint ventures, making deals with people that you used to think you'd never make a deal with in your entire life, but there's not necessarily anything wrong with going to the so-called bottom feeder or newbie market. There's nothing wrong with selling something low ticket or discounting something for a limited time to get some new buyers or anything like that. And getting out more for you might be taking a risk and going to a live event or doing a 100% commission deal on your product for a limited time or things like that. But you got to get out more, and wherever you're hanging out, whether you're hanging out at the bottom feeder community or you're hanging out in the ivory tower, never sell anything under $5,000 community, you got to shake things up. And you don't have to live in any of these areas. You can just go there just for whatever it pays back out to you. You can go there just to get some contacts, some interviews, some buyers, things like that, and then sell whatever dang price point you want. You shouldn't let your customers bully you into selling something or not selling something, or just giving everything away for free or charging at a certain price, because some of them will try to, but I mean, it's your business. Your business does not affect them. It pays your bills. It takes care of your family, so you can do whatever the heck decision you want. I've had people get angry at me for only giving away 50 copies or 200 copies of a software product, and I said, well, you know what? I could come up with all of the excuses I want, but at the end of the day, the reason why I do whatever it is I do is because I can. If I charge low ticket, high ticket, give away copies, don't give away copies, it's because I can, and I do. Okay? So, the next thing is eat your own dog food, which is a programming term meaning the software you put out, use it yourself. And you know what will happen? Is you'll actually get a lot of the bugs and the kinks out before the public sees it. It'll actually have all the things someone actually needs because you use it yourself, and it won't have all the bloat and won't have all the crazy extra distracting features that nobody needs. So this term eat your own dog food means, well, there's food, there's people food, and there's dog food. Dog food usually you think tastes like crap. But if you had to eat dog food, what would you do? You'd make it taste good, you'd add, shrimp and lobster and make steak flavored, and eventually the dog food would actually be pretty darn good because you yourself would have to eat it. So with Website Remote, we realized that all the WordPress centralization management tools just didn't work, or they were just too confusing, or they had things that we didn't need. So what I did was I made the minimum viable product, the version 1.0 of Website Remote. I put it on there and made it so that you log into a members area, you install the Website Remote plugin on your site, and then it will tell you what version of WordPress you have, and you can click on update. It's all it did. So I made that, and then I gave my business partner, Mr. Lance Tamashiro, sight unseen, a login to Website Remote. The technical term for this is called a hallway test. That just means like if you pulled someone off the street, pulled someone out of the hallway, showed them your product without instructions, could they use it? Without an instruction manual, things like that. And so I sent this to him sight unseen, and he recorded a screen capture Camtasia video, which you can get a copy of Camtasia by going to techsmith.com. You record your screen and you talk and you show what you're clicking on. So I just looked at what he clicked on, and I looked at the areas where he fumbled or got stuck, and then I used that to improve Website Remote. And then we added things like, we accounted for certain things like if the plugin was not installed on their site, or if they tried to re-add a site that was already on there, or if they tried to add a site that was owned by somebody else, if, not to get too technical, but if their WordPress was set up in such a way that it required an FTP login and password, it accounted for that. I added it so that you could update plugins, you could update themes, you could compare one site to another and see if this site has these plugins and themes, does this other site have the plugins and themes. We added groups. We have a lot more interesting, crazy features coming down the pipeline very soon for Website Remote, but what we did was use it ourselves. And this is great for you, because if you're selling software or selling a book, and even if it doesn't sell super great, well, if you're assembling all these tools that you yourself are going to use, I mean, you still should make a bunch of money from whatever you're selling, but at least this way, even on the off chance it doesn't sell, or if it sells a little slowly or more slowly than you expected, this way, you still win because you still created something that you are going to use in your own business day in and day out. And so with this eating of your own dog food, a couple cool things happened with our launch recently. The first thing is that I wanted the Website Remote site to run on what's called SSL, or a secured server. If you don't know what that is, look it up. I don't want to spend 10 minutes explaining it. But basically, when you go to a website and there's a lock symbol, it's called HTTPS, like Google and Facebook and Gmail and things like that. Those are secure sites. A normal site is an unsecure site. So what we did, because of this launch, I wanted Website Remote to be a secured site because people were logging in and posting their WordPress details on there. I wanted it to be an SSL site. So in order to make it an SSL site, I had to make a couple of improvements on our paper template plugin to make sure it was 100% and not just 99% SSL compliant, because without getting too technical, if you have HTTPS and SSL secured site and you have a regular HTTP image and things like that on the site, there'll be some errors. So I had to go and correct those things in the plugin. I noticed a couple little quirks with our MemberGenius plugin, which you can get at membergenius.com, and it didn't quite perform great using SSL, but I made some tweaks because we had to use it. We have a plugin called the Video Player plugin inside of membershipcube.com, and I had to make some tweaks to make that work. Once again, it still kind of worked with a secure site, but I wanted to make it work totally well with a secure site. And then with our Backup Creator relaunch, we sold Backup Creator and then had Website Remote be one of the upsells to selling Backup Creator. And because we had a lot of traffic coming in, we had to turn on a caching plugin, and we used W3 Total Cache, which is a free plugin for that. And I had to make a tweak to the Video Player plugin to make sure that it all worked properly and all cooperated with the website caching, which is what makes your website run quickly. So with eating your own dog food, a couple cool things happened. Is we actually engineered a membership site to manage our WordPress sites that we would actually use. I tweaked our paper template plugin to work with SSL sites as well as MemberGenius and Video Player, and it all works with caching. And we never would have done that, or maybe even thought to do it, unless we ourselves had to run an SSL site, or we ourselves had to run a high traffic site using caching. And then also the cool thing about all this was that we had a deadline. We had a launch date, and that forced us to get our butts in gear and get those things done that we had to get done quickly without spending a lot of time, because there are all kinds of things. I even have a few short lists of things that would be nice to have in MemberGenius, in Paper Template, in Backup Creator, if you use any of those. And this kind of forced me to put some of those in the right priority. And I said, well, there are these features I need to have for this launch coming up, but then the nice to haves can come later. And that leads us to thing number 3 we're talking about today, is to treat your business like a real business. And that means if you're coming up with anything, especially if it's a course or also a software product, you need to have that minimum viable product out first, version 1.0, and having a deadline pushes you into gear. And you're never going to be happy right out of the gate with the features that you have, whether it's software or a course. There are always things you could have added, but you don't want to psych yourself out, and you don't want to spend 2 years on a product that people might not want, right? You have to put together the version 1.0 you have right now that gets you by, and then you're going to realize that, some people are going to buy for certain reasons, and it means I need to focus on that. We still sell a product creation course. Actually, no, it's closed now. We sold a product creation course at productuniversity.com. And we thought that the focus was going to be about upsells, joint ventures, affiliate programs. But the average person, when we surveyed our list, the average person just wanted to know about how to choose a niche. So we thought we thought we were going to have to focus on all this crazy stuff, but then we realized that the people having the real problems, the people actually buying, their issue is finding a niche. And that's so important. People always forget that if you're putting out a book or software or whatever it is, you got to be solving a problem. Don't just do it just because it's a topic. Do it because people have a problem. You want to get their problem solved. You want to get them in a certain place. And so the problem that Backup Creator solves is that sites need to be backed up, they need to be cloned, and things like that. And the other alternatives just don't cut it. There are free ones that suck. There are paid ones that suck. There are ones that are tough to use. There are ones that do things you don't want them to do. And Backup Creator is the best of all possible worlds, I think. And Website Remote is new. Website Remote could have more features, but I think that for what it is, it's the best one. And so that leads us to, when you put out something new, you don't want to make any rash moves. And I think that anytime you do some kind of product launch, it's going to be really scary because you're going to have to get all these affiliates on board, and you're never going to be happy, I think, with the amount of money you make. And the money might be kind of slow going. But you don't want to make any rash moves, and I've seen so many marketers spend all year, even sometimes, leading up to a big launch, and then you can just tell that they're let down by the lack of sales, and they just stop the launch. They stop emailing, they close it up sometimes. That's the worst thing you could do. You did all this work, you put it online, keep it online, And if you decide that you want to add a bonus, or if you want to bundle it with something else, sleep on it. If you say, well, if they buy this, they get that, like, just think about it for a day or two and come back and don't make any rash moves. So the number one thing that's coming across our email inboxes right now is that the people, I mean, we're getting sales of website remote, that's for sure, every day since we opened it. But the thing that's coming across is that people are saying that they're afraid of a monthly payment, right? At the moment, website remote is a monthly fee. And they're like, well, I don't know about $17 and this and that. And so when people complain about the price, you got to be really careful because, like we said, they might be the bottom feeders, people with no money, and like, who do you want to cater to? I don't want to sound stuck up, but do you want to cater to the people who don't really have a business and people who aren't really trying in a business, or people who actually have an established business? And the other thing too about website remote that I'm trying to get my head around in the marketing is how they'll use it. Because one of the hooks we have for Backup Creator is that you can get hired by a local business to get a simple website set up, a simple 3-page website for a car dealership, dentist office, restaurant, whatever, right? And then using Backup Creator, you can charge them $2,000 a month just to keep the site up and running. And using Backup Creator, you can automatically back up the site every day off to Google Drive or something like that. So that's a use of Backup Creator. And so one thing that I'm trying to figure out and wrap my head around is, using website remote, people can do the same thing, right? People can have potentially 10 or 20 of these clients, paying them $2,000 a month, and then just to keep the site up and running, they can log into one single dashboard, see what sites are on there, update what needs updating, and then they just get paid just for clicking the button, making sure it's all up and running. And so that's a different crowd, right? The people who have these client sites, that's a whole different crowd from the people having all the test sites. And I'm not saying that, you should ignore low ticket buyers. I'm not saying that you shouldn't help people who need help getting their business started. But if people are complaining about $17 a month to keep their sites going, well, then think about, well, how much are they paying in web hosting just to keep those sites running? How much are they paying just in software like, virus scanners and things like that? And if they just got one client paying them $2,000 a month, $17 a month is a drop in the bucket. So I don't say that to sound stuck up, but you don't necessarily want people to bully you into the lower price. And the reason why they're not buying might not be because the price is the price. The reason they're not buying might be because the things you have in your product or in your offer, in your package, are not quite yet enticing enough. And like, the buyer psychology is so dang weird because they might be afraid of paying $17, but they'll be okay with paying $200 a year. So that's one avenue we could try, right? We could try, or we could not try, but we could set up and we can test having a button for them to pay just a yearly amount and not a monthly amount. The only way to find out is by putting it out there, testing it, marketing it, and letting people vote with their wallets. We might do some kind of a free option where a site or two is free. Or we could do a trial period, because once they start using it, once they see how easy it is and how much it's changed their lives, they're not going to want to cancel. So there's all these avenues that we could take as opposed to dropping the price. And that's where it gets scary, because I know a lot of marketers and just people in general, they think for whatever reason that if they just put out a site for $5-10 a month, people will buy it, everyone will join, everyone will forget to cancel just because it's supposedly $5 or $10 a month. If it's still a piece of crap, it's still a piece of crap. And even if you sell for $5 a month, even ignoring it after fees, you only get about $3 out of that. People are afraid to buy things monthly. So we have to figure out what is the deal with that, as Jerry Seinfeld would say. And even in Backup Creator, one thing that we've done is, so a Backup Creator is $7. Most people take the $47 option, and you buy that and you get a year of updates. And after a year, it still works, but the updates stop working. And 2 years later, you can decide to renew your updates, and a lot of people do, and some people update it, right the day that it expires, maybe a little while after. But at one point, we ran the numbers, and I don't remember the exact numbers, but I think Mr. Lance said something like the average person renews for like 2.5 years or 3 years. So once we had those numbers, then we said, well, Backup Creator is $47 a year, but if you want to uh, never pay yearly again, it's $147 to get lifetime access. So one thing with Website Remote is that we might eventually, a long ways off from now, have a lifetime option, but only after we see how long people stay in, and if we can look at the average length of time someone pays in, what's the average amount of money we make per sale per person that joins Website Remote, then we can figure out, well, if we have something higher than that, then the lifetime price is that price. But there's a thing that Dan Kennedy calls price resistance, where you don't need to give into the mob, and you might just need better marketing because you want to have that price resistance. You don't want to sell something for $1 when you could have sold it for $100, because it would have been way easier to make those high ticket sales. So Website Remote is, I think, one of the things I'm the most excited about in a very long time. And there's a lot of things I still want to add to it. But my priority is to get it working and getting all the bugs out and getting it working for me before I go crazy and add a bunch of stuff that I might not even want or use, or that others might not want or use. And while I'm adding to this, then we are marketing it, but I'll be honest, the sales are a little slow going because, and the number one objection, I mean, I'm even looking at my email, there's all kinds of even new people saying the reason they're not buying is because of that monthly fee. So I'm going to have to make a few decisions, right? The decision might be that to ignore those people or add in some cooler stuff so that the monthly price is worth it, or make it a yearly price or something, but we'll figure out what it is, but we'll make a better informed decision once we have the numbers of what people have actually been doing, as opposed to just giving in to the basically the customer bullying, because you might need better marketing. And we probably need to do better with, because Website Remote is still new, but we probably need to do a little bit better with the positioning to compete against these free, inferior, and they're not competitors, but there are similar products, right? You probably have similar products out there compared to what you sell, but they're not your competitors. You're on a different level than that. And I think the other area where, and I feel like right now I'm just talking to a therapist, but the other area where Website Remote is a tough sell is that the marketplace has not done a good job of educating people about WordPress management and centralization, because it's easy to wrap your head around backing up a site or having a landing page, but managing all your sites in one place, I think that the average person just doesn't know how badly they need something like that. And so that's another reason why it's going to be slow going with making some other future webinars and videos and things like that, and maybe add more to the sales letter so people understand how badly they need that. And so adding all this stuff and doing all these tasks, well, there's only so many hours in a day, and it's easy to get off track, right? It's easy to get stuck either in maintenance land or stuck in chicken with your head cut off land. And that's where the final thing of today, 4 daily tasks, comes in. Every day, you want to do the 4 most important things, the 4 things that get you closer to making money. And if there are a lot of 5-minute tasks, then guess what? Bundle them all up, chunk them all up into one 45-minute session. That's one of your 4 daily tasks for today. I recommend you do 3 sessions, 3 sittings at your desk of 45 minutes each. And when you're done with that one task, leave the computer, take a break for a while, and then you're going to have one task that's just about 10 minutes, which could be things like sending out your autoresponder broadcast for today or something like that. Okay, and so 4 daily tasks. And if you say to me, well, you need to do more today, well, you probably don't. And probably if you sit for the computer for 8 to 12 hours a day, it's probably mostly wasted time. It's probably lots of trips to the bathroom, trips to Gmail, trips to Facebook, trips to Twitter, checking the phone. You don't really do 10 hours a day. If you do, I don't believe you. And you don't really do 20 tasks a day. You probably do 20 small tasks a day that you could chunk together and get it all done and not get yourself all burned out in the process. And that's what we're talking about today, is we want you to make more money, have more fun, increase your productivity without burning out or without putting in so much time that you're creating a new job for yourself. It's really fun to make a new website, think of a new idea, slap up a new web page, make some some new graphics, grab a new domain name. But if you did that every day, nothing would get done. And then there's also the maintaining of your own business, right? And so we have a help desk. I recommend zendesk.com. And what I do there is when I log in, there are a lot. If people have an issue, and most people don't, but if someone has an issue like they want a refund, lost their download link, if backup creator doesn't work on their particular web host, that happens very rarely, but it does happen. And so when a problem comes in, then either our person on the help desk, Jason, takes care of that, or if it's an accounting issue, it gets passed to Lance, or if it's a programming issue, it gets passed to me. And so I can log in and have a pile of programming issues that need fixing. And so what I've been doing lately is alternating my days and having one day where I ignore the help desk. Sounds bad, right? You have a help desk problem, you go and put in a ticket to get it fixed. Oh no, he's not going to answer me today. But that's just how it is. And it usually takes us on average 2 days to respond to a ticket, and then it gets fixed and it's done. But what I've been doing is on a typical day, I don't look at the help desk, but I do look at how things are selling, and I do look at little improvements I can make to our products or our software plugins. Like I'll fix a thing in Paper Template, right? I'll make Paper Template run in SSL, or make Paper Template have an area where you can add custom CSS just for iPhones or just for tablets, if you know what that means. But I'll go and I'll move the business forward, right? That'll be one day. And then the next day will be a help desk day where I'm maintaining the business that we've built and not lose any ground in what we've built so far, right? And I might go in and get some articles written or things like that. But that's a maintenance day, right? And I'll just mostly knock out help desk tickets. And for me, I mean, a help desk ticket might take a while, because I could go to a ticket and the person says, "Well, I noticed that there was this problem in the videos in your Dropship CEO course." And I go and find the video, edit it out, and then I go and process the DVDs for that. I go and upload the new video files into a membership site. I go and edit the transcript. I upload those. I go and resubmit a new version of the book to Lulu, which prints out our manuals. And so there we go. Just that one ticket out of maybe 10 or 20 took up a whole hour. So we don't want to spend our whole life just answering customer support tickets, especially if someone else can do that. But there are some issues that only I can deal with that get passed up to me. But that's been the way that I've been able to lately move forward, but then not always be putting out fires. So I'll have one day where I build the business, and then another day where I just do customer support. Another day where I build the business, we might do a pitch webinar. We might do a podcast like right now. We might do a Q&A session for our Webinar Crusher or our double agent marketing sites. And the next day, back to help desk stuff. And so some days I get more done than the others. And it's not about how much time you put in, but how much you get accomplished. And there are a lot of ways that you can automate your business so that you don't have distractions. And my best tip for you for this week has been that I have been queuing up my autoresponder messages. I believe that you should email people every day, and then when they buy, put them on the buyers list so they don't get emails for a little while. But I email every day, and so if we're doing a campaign, for example, this week for Website Remote, we had a pitch webinar on Wednesday. So the Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday were emails getting them to sign up for the webinar and to attend. Then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday have been for them to go and buy, sending them to the sales letter and sending them to the webinar replay if they saw it or if they missed it. So we had to email every day, and so what I did was I scheduled most of those emails ahead of time so that I woke up in the morning and the emails were already sent out. I already had some money from that day from the emails themselves, from rebuilds from other courses, from people finding us on Google searches and finding us and buying from there. So it's really cool. It's really motivating to wake up and already have money that already came in that day that you didn't have to really do anything to get that in motion. And there aren't those distractions pulling you and making you switching gears. I know everyone thinks they can multitask, they can switch gears, but there's all these studies saying that smoking marijuana is more productive than multitasking. There's all these studies saying that if you get distracted, it takes 15, 20, sometimes 30 minutes to get back on track. So minimize those distractions and just do 4 things that put you towards where you want to go. Treat your business like a real business because if you treat it like a hobby, then guess what? It's not going to pay out like a real business should. Eat your own dog food, which means that the things that you sell should be things that you use, and get out more because the places you hang out are probably holding you back, especially in your thinking of what's possible, what you can do, what you can sell, and most importantly, what you can charge for. Get out more, grow your internet business, make more money, have more fun, and increase your productivity without burning out or creating a new job for yourself. I'm Robert Plank from websiteremote.com. Get out there, make some money, don't be a stranger, and I'll talk to you in the very next episode. Robert Plank, Website Remote. Thanks so much, and bye now.